WHOIS actually is not an acronym. What we're talking about is the personal information of how do you find the domain holder. The name, the address, the phone number, the email address, the fax, if they still have one, and a whole bunch of technical details on how you get there. Now, it started off back in the early 80s. Bunch of geeks want to know, hey mate, how do I get a hold of you? So everybody had to say, this is who I am, this is how you get a hold of me, and for a few thousand geeks, that was fine. But it's now come to the point where we've got millions of users, probably millions of domain holders who have very different expectations about privacy and having that kind of information made public. So that's where we're up to. It's a difficult issue because on both sides you have rights. On the one hand, we have law enforcement and security agencies who quite rightly want to be able to track down the people who are abusing the internet, who are creating fraud, spam, whatever. And so WHOIS will actually lead them to the right people. On the other hand, in the many intervening years between the 80s and now, we've had a lot of privacy law introduced, EU directive, Canada, Asia, Sydney, where people now have a legitimate right to not have their personal information made public. Finding the balance is the challenge. So I started off here in 2009 with working group calls at 2,000 in the morning, trying to work over amendments to the what's called the Registrar's Accreditation Agreement, which actually contains those requirements. That was changed in 2013, but then that led to a range of other working groups, the specifications to say, how do you actually introduce and implement those changes, another set of specifications for privacy proxy providers, what do they have to do, what information do they gather, and finally there's a working group that says, maybe we need to stand back and say, let's have a different approach. So it's been a very long journey, it's not over.